Well, the craziness continues. Let's check in with the college basketball right now. Level 2 has begun. Big man on campus going to join us in a couple of minutes. Middle Tennessee State were big underdogs tonight. They were getting like 9 points against Louisiana Tech, 8.5, 9. They're leading La Tech right now, 70-67 with 19 seconds left. We've got Louisiana Tech to close out a parlay, and it looks like we're about to lose, but whatever. There's still time. But it's like good news, bad news. We also took Riverside, baby. UC Riverside tonight, who were down to Cal State Bakersfield most of the game, but Riverside have exploded and overtaken them. This is a red-hot team right now, Riverside, guys. They've won 8 of their last 10 coming into tonight. It's going to be 9 of 11 after this. They're dangerous in this tournament. Riverside up 78-69, but I got greedy. And I took an in-game over 151.5. So we're at 147 right now. It might get there, but I probably won't. Cal Baptist and Utah Valley, guys, are going to overtime, tied at 60 right now. DePaul are actually leading Villanova 48-47. They're up by 1 with 5 minutes left. And this number's bouncing around all over the place. Villanova are down to 3.5-point favorites right now. They're minus 425 on the money line, despite the fact they're losing by a point. Man, if this gets to the final minute or two, that's when the pressure gets real for Villanova. Juwan Howard, God bless him. I'm a big fan of his, but this is going to be it for Juwan Howard. I would imagine this is his last game right now. I told Carver today on the Pharrell show, I said, listen, man, how the hell are Penn State not going to blow Michigan out tonight? They were 7-point favorites. Penn State are up by 13 right now with 40 seconds left. And it looks like the Juwan Howard era is going to end with a whimper and a loss in a Big Ten tournament to Penn State in the opening round game. Missouri are up 43-36 on Georgia right now with 12 minutes left.
That's my game tonight, Gabe. I bet against the 18-game losing streak with Mizzou tonight. That was a fish line if I've ever seen one. Big fish line.
Up by 7 right now with 12 minutes left. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. Missouri are suddenly 6.5-point favorites. They're minus 450 on the money line. Georgia aren't great either, so it's not automatic they're going to come back here. Boston College. Here's another good example, Cam, of this tournament craziness. Yeah. Boston College are not very good, okay? They didn't have a good year. Clemson are on the bubble. Clemson kind of were not bad. They kind of stumbled down the stretch a bit, but wow. Like Clemson, I think Clemson were 8-point favorites, 9-point favorites.
Yeah, they were.
Boston College are winning. Boston College are winning by 15 right now with 7 minutes left. BC's up on Clemson 60-45. I took the Kansas Jayhawks plus 3 points. Knowing, obviously, the 2 of their starters were out, believing that, you know what, they could still pull this out. There's still time left, but they've been trailing all game, and right now they are losing by 6. It's 40-34 with 15:28 left.
I'm telling you, Gabe, there's live is plus 7.5. I just clicked it while you're talking. I'm going to tell you something. Cincinnati had a 16-point lead in that game. Kansas has clawed their way back like every minute, beat them by a basket. Cincinnati, this is no lock. I think the Kansas Jayhawks, despite without two great players, can come back and win this game. And if they lose, I think they lose by in heartbreaking fashion. Give me the Jayhawks live plus 7.5.
Let's hope. I don't have plus the 7. I'm not going to take them plus 7, but I can't disagree with your pick. I think they can get back in this thing. They just need to linger as this game gets close. If it's the last 5 minutes and they're within a basket or two, I think Kansas can pull this out. But credit to Cincinnati for showing up tonight, and it's not easy. People think, just because the 2 starters are out. Kansas are still good, and Kansas's bench players would start at Cincinnati, most of them. So it's not like Kansas don't care at all. They just don't want to get their star players hurt before the NCAA tournament. So there's the college basketball update. We got Big Man on Campus going to join us in about 5 minutes. We'll get his thoughts on the games. And we got games coming up still here this evening. Abilene Christian, Sister Christian. What's the word after that? Sister Christian, what you gonna do? Is it what are you gonna where are you gonna go?
Like that. Yeah, I don't think.
Remember he says, your motor ran. What's your
What's
price for flight?
Right. Yeah.
Remember it's what's your price for flight? What?
Ran.
Can't believe I don't remember, but yeah. Albaline Sister Christian in action here tonight. And 3.5 points against Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah. It's hard to
Which
remember.
Makes me think of the $6 million man.
Yes. When we have 364 basketball games stuff, I can't blame you for not knowing the lyrics to Assistant Christian, Sister Christian song. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much
if I was on a game show and there was like $10 million on the line, I'd really hate myself. I'd be like, I can't believe I couldn't get that. Like, you're motoring. What's your price for flight? You know what's crazy? Because I listened to, I never liked that song. That's why I don't know the words. But I like the band Night Ranger.
Night Ranger.
Like I know all the words to "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" by Night Ranger, which is like one of their heavier songs. But
it says, Sister Christian, the time has come, and you know what? That you're the only one to say, okay, where are you going? What are you looking for? You know those boys don't want to play no more with you. It's true. You're motoring. What's your price for flight? In finding Mr. Right, you'll be all right tonight. There it is.
Real poetry there from Night Ranger.
Ooh, Night Ranger. You guys, like Socrates. Look at these guys.
I'm telling you though, like you don't. It's sort of like sports, Cam. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, what's your price for flights? Like, what does that mean?
I agree.
Are you insulting her, or are you on her side? You can't even tell. It's like, are you insulting her?
I gotta be honest.
The boys don't want to play with you anymore. Like, it's just sort of like
band,
doesn't even make sense.
Like, this band needs lyrical help. I just read that and went, this is very convoluted here. But anyway, catchy riff.
I've told people before, there was some guy that was outside John Lennon's place every day in New York in Central Park. And he always used to ask him, what does it mean? Your life, your songs are so important. Like, what's the true meaning and stuff? Lennon one day stopped and told the guy, stopped. And he goes, listen. He goes, I don't want to like crush you. He goes, it doesn't mean anything, man. He goes, they're just a bunch of words that rhymed that I threw together when I was on acid. He goes, I don't remember writing it. He goes, there's really no deep meaning. He goes, it's just a bunch of words, like a lot of rock. Right?
You're right.
It's not like some massive meaning of everything. People, it's like at conventions when they ask like William Shatner, what is the episode 3 from season 4? What's the meaning of the, and he's like, he doesn't even remember doing the damn show. He's thinking, what's the meaning of it?
I'm on his side, though. Like, dude, the guy filmed 1 million episodes. He's
thinking, too, it's like, I don't know. I didn't write the show, bro. I was just an actor. It didn't mean anything. It mean we beat the aliens in a TV show. That's what it meant.
Exactly. Like, I just like the space alien ladies. Some of them are very sexy. Very sexy.
Big,
different planets.
Big rivalry game coming up here tonight. We'll break down with big men. Montana State and Montana.
Yes.
Winner moves on.
Versus Liz.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like technology can only travel so fast.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to -170 price, followed by SGA at +250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right. I said earlier, man, I got a little greedy and I took the in-game over 151.5 in Riverside and Bakersfield, and I was on Riverside to win the game, and we bet over 151.5. It's 83-78. The game that just won't end. It's coming to an end right now, and I think it just ended. 83-78 Riverside advancing. A smoking hot red hot basketball team right now, as Big Man on campus definitely knows. Big Man, good to see you. I know there was some internet stuff on the East Coast last night. Our boy Tommy had it as well in New York. So good to see you tonight. How you doing, Big Man?
Doing great. How are you guys?
So let's get into the college basketball right away. What'd you think of this Riverside Bakersfield game? Riverside are hot, bro. They're 9-2 now after tonight in their last 11 games.
Yeah, I'm not a big West guy. I don't bet much on the conference. I didn't bet it. I actually had a lot of my games early. I went 3-0, and I just said, you know what? I'm good for tonight.
East Coast bias. That's why you're on the East Coast. You're East Coast bias.
That's something that I haven't learned yet, Big Man. I just don't know how to stop. It's just one of those things. If I start the day 3-0, I go, like you, Gabe, you're the same way. Let's make it 6-0. Okay? Can we get into double digits? It's just, I don't know. There is no break in my betting. That's a real problem. That's just who I am.
No, well, for me, I've had fun with this because to me, this is cooler than March Madness. And I'm not going crazy with the units or anything, actually. And then after, I sort of regret it at the end of the day because I have a good day. But if I don't have a great day, because these games are volatile, it's like, well, I'm glad I didn't go crazy on that game specifically. I will say this, Big Man, a team that screwed me tonight, and I'm going to admit this, I didn't tell the story. I freaking double-clicked a parlay tonight, Colgate and Texas. Moneyline parlay, Colgate and Texas. And I double-clicked it, and I was happy I double-clicked it at one point, Big Man, because I'm like, all right, great. Colgate were winning by 20 right away. I got paid out early. They were up by so much. And Texas were up for the most part. Big collapse, man. I swear to God, this Kansas State team, you and I talked about it, bro. You don't know, man. I never know. You never know what you're going to get with this K-State team, bro. They look terrible in the first half. Somehow they win the freaking game.
Yeah, they were down 10 with 4.5 minutes to go and won by 4. Then again, Texas is very volatile as well.
They're a bunch of chokers, Texas. What about a soft-ass program, bro? And I was almost buying in, too. They could be dangerous in this tournament. They could be dangerous, right? No, they lose to K-State, guys.
All the time. What has Texas ever shown up in a big game other than Vince Young back in the day? In any sport. I'm telling you, it's just this school Austin,
They weren't even
one of the
good
most
when they had
beautiful-
Kevin Durant.
Yes. That's like,
You know
like
what I mean?
Texas should be a perennial top 10 team every year with the city, the population, the talent pool.
They're chokers, bro. They're soft chokers. They're just chokers. Like they're
Put it in the gambling
entitled.
book. No Texas. Like they'll break your heart and wallet.
But they can be good. They can be good. What do you think, big man, of that game? It was it just pissed me off.
No, I think it was. They're one of the more disappointing teams of the season. I mean, there's been a couple, but these are two teams that are just hard to back. I think both of them hired coaches that maybe were off a good half a year, and they said, you know what, we'll give the guy the job, and we'll just hope he does good. And you look at both these teams. Jerome Tang had a good year last year, but was that more of just the roster he had? And now you look at all of a sudden, all those guys are gone, and this team is really poor at times. Texas, same thing with them. But, yeah, two teams I couldn't get behind. I couldn't bet. Been very disappointing overall.
43-38 right now for Cincinnati over Kansas, 10.5 left. And, guys, this is unbelievable. I you know what? I double-clicked, but I cashed out early on this one, so I'm not part of this catastrophe. They might do it, Cam. Big man, this is a low point for Villanova, bro. It's 57-55 for DePaul right now with 20 seconds left. Like Nova are running on a racetrack.
I saw earlier Steve Fezzik put out Nova minus 4,000.
Oh, my God, that's right. He bet the money line. Dude, didn't he? Yeah, no, so you're right. No. Yeah, I know the guys won a lot before, so I don't. Anything that says turns into a war. Yeah. Oh, they were talking about you. But if you're going to post a minus 4,000, and then a 40,000, another thing too. The sharps and the square stuff. It's like, shut up, guys. I'm so sick of everyone that thinks they're smarter than everyone else. And I'm going to bring it up. This guy bet like $50,000 on Purdue last year, big man, to win that one game that they lost.
Yeah, that's a memorable one with him. Yeah,
who does this? And listen, I do dumb parlays where I did an 11-team banger when I was drunk the other night. It only paid like plus 280. But I put $200 on it. I didn't lay a minus $40,000 favorite.
Too, Gabe, you're laying. They're a 24.5 point favorite. I don't care. Yes, they're going to win the game 999 times out of 1,000.
He actually bets He actually bets like big dollars. He might have put 90K to win 2K or something on this. You know,
I think the thought with these people that do this is you can make more in 2 hours than you would making the interest on that money. Right?
In the stock market or et cetera. Exactly, yeah.
It's called bridge jumping.
Yeah, but all it takes is one to lose, and then you got to do it like a bunch of times to make it work after.
And my whole thing is, if you're going to do this, maybe not tell Twitter. Just keep it to yourself.
Exactly. It's like a shameful. There's a lot of things.
Well played, big man.
It's like it's like a girl you date or you're going to see on a Sunday night late. It's like, yeah, listen.
It's like
not posting pictures here. Yeah, but exactly. You're right, big man. We all do it where you place a bet. It's like, I do it. I post a lot of bets. Sometimes I'm like, this one's just for me. I'm putting together this stupid parlay that I'm not telling anyone about.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Big man, I'm the opposite way. I took Missouri tonight on an 18-game losing streak. I'm the opposite of Pheasant. I jump into dumpsters just looking for these teams. You know what I mean? So I do, ask Morency, I do dumb stuff all the time, but laying that kind of juice, I just don't see, even if you win, Gabe, there's so much danger at one time.
Well, listen,
that it goes
Cam,
away.
I don't mind. Remember Vegas Dave, who I call Calgary Dave, and he got upset.
Calgary Dave.
I said, what, remember? So I don't like talking about this. Big man, everybody calls himself Vegas this and that. I was like, you kind of got to live there to call yourself that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
that's the best.
But he's a smart guy, though. He's a smart guy. So, but he had a thing with college football, I remember. And remember, Cam, he used to put $2,000 on he'd put big man, basically, the top 25 teams in a parlay in week 1 and week 2 of college football. Alabama minus 38 versus Savannah State and etc. But he put them in a parlay together and he'd have 10 of them and it turned into plus 118 or something. I don't mind doing that. I can live with that. Right. And that, because if you lose, guys, you don't lose $40,000 to win 1,000.
No.
And it's only going to happen once in a while that these upsets will happen. He won his parlays 10 out of the 12 weeks type thing. As the year went on, it got shakier, but like early in the year, those teams don't lose for the most part. There's like one or two, like they don't lose. So like you can do it. But dude, college basketball, guys, it's so volatile.
Gabe,
Like
as
it's
you know,
40
too,
minutes. Like it's not
Yes.
football. Like football, you push the other team around. It's hard to lose if you're better than the other team in football. Basketball,
And-
it isn't, big man in camp. You know what I mean? It isn't.
And
Anyone can beat anybody in basketball.
You're right. And I'll throw this
Oh
at
my
you, Gabe.
God, Villanova just won by 1. Son of a bitch.
Right, good for him. What a play. But I'm gonna say that-
58-57. Oh my
I'm going to
God.
say that you saw it live, too. Like, they're still laying 7. That's the whole problem when you take these things. Like, Gabe, they're only down to like -7.5 and stuff like that live. Like, you know what I mean?
So
the
he
algorithm
survived.
thinks, hold on. Wow, this guy's lucky. His horseshoes up his.
What, they win at the buzzer? They must have won at the buzzer.
That's almost unreal. Imagine the guy who took the Paul money line. That's the guy I feel
That
bad
is so
for. Like,
close.
what a bet! What a bet! Come on.
Yeah, there's one guy in Chicago right now that owes like $88,000 to the mob, and this was his one way out. I'm taking
you're
DePaul on the
right,
money
Gabe.
line tonight,
Yeah,
and he
that's
was
it,
so
that's
close,
it.
Cam.
And he's
like,
thinking,
I'm
oh my
dead.
God.
Now he's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I'm dead.
He's like owning Mahoney at the dinner party on his hands and
Yeah.
he's praying. Please,
One last
DePaul.
bet, DePaul
Yes.
money line.
Watched that movie last night. It was amazing. God, I love that movie.
I did that once before, but I took Fresno State with Jerry Tarkanian.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot, and I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like technology can only like travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to -170 price, followed by SGA at plus 250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to like 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. Like, I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. So, Cam loves to watch Dateline and these documentaries and stuff. And Big Man, of course, has an ultra successful podcast called the Sit Down Podcast, in which he talks to famous, well-known gangsters, mobsters, cartel members, and everything else in between. And Big Man, I sent you the story about the murder in Las Vegas that is sports related here as well, guys. So, like, this story is just too wild to even believe. It's so bizarre. And I actually read, I don't like read always, I'll read the story. I read a lot of different stuff, but I actually read the police report word for word because it was like a book. I couldn't put it down. It was like, what? Unnamed F1 driver was hosting. I'm like, F1 driver? What the hell is going on here? So anyone who follows me on Twitter knows, kind of knows the story. I tweeted about it a little bit this evening, but for the record here, there was a guy that was in jail. His name was Christopher Tapp. This guy was in jail for 20 years. Okay, kind of a bald guy. It looks like Sean Higgs actually, who was on with us last night. So
yeah, he was wrongly accused of murder, and the cops shook him down, and he gave a false confession. I know this guy, and the mother, she got him off. Gabe, the mother actually believed him after watching the police video. That's a crazy story.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so it was in Idaho. Yeah, he was in Idaho. Yes. Christopher Tapp. He was accused of a murder like 22 years ago or whatnot. It turned out his roommate did it, but the cops beat him down after a couple of days, and whatever. I don't know. He eventually confessed because he didn't confess, but he said, I told him what they wanted to hear because I thought I was innocent. It would be fine. He ended up going to jail for 20 years. Turned out he was innocent. They proved his innocence for real. DNA and blah, blah. Like, they proved his innocence 20 years later. So, guy gets out of jail. I found it fascinating that he got murdered after. I'm like, this poor bastard. He gets out of jail and he gets murdered in a hotel room in the resorts world in Vegas, F1 weekend. I'm like, what the hell? It's the weirdest story ever. In preparation for F1, etc. It was like a week before, whatever. So, just bizarro world stuff. And I'm thinking, and then the guy that did it is a former WWE wrestler and a GOP political candidate that, he lost in Texas, but there's pictures with him with Trump, etc. and stuff. So he's running for like a senator, or he's running for Senate or whatever, House, congressman in Nevada. So I'm thinking, why the hell would some guy that got murdered, that was in jail for murder, be in a hotel room with a congressman wannabe? Like, the whole story didn't make any sense to me. And it was just sort of weird. And now you find out that it was a party that was hosted by an unnamed F1 driver. I got to tell you, the cops are doing him a favor by keeping him out of it. But we're all going to find out who it is eventually. His name is redacted from the police report. He's called John, fake name, whatever. So, but it is they confirmed. They said an active F1 driver and his business manager had a party at the Resort World in preparation for F1. And they had models, not escorts, but models type of thing. Well, whatever, right? So Instagram girls were hired by a company. This politician wrestler's daughter was one of the girls, except the mother went with her, right? So the mother went with her to this party, and they were all partying and stuff, and she did cocaine. The guy that got out of jail that was innocent gave the wrestler's daughter cocaine at the party, except he didn't, pull her aside. The wrestler guy walked in. And saw his daughter in a hotel room in Vegas, specifically in a suite, but in a private room doing cocaine with this guy. And he murdered the guy on the spot. Like, he literally murdered the guy with his hands on the spot, but in front of people. But he didn't confess. They tried to cover it up. And the cops caught on quick. And they wiretapped the entire family and stuff. And they got the mother on wiretap talking about how stupid their own daughter is. They're like, our daughter's a stupid idiot and stuff. And then they're like, but the daughter's friend really saw the murder. And they called her the dumbest girl in the world. They said, she's so stupid, she won't remember anything anyways. She's so dumb. the cops, right out of a TV show, guys, showed like the wiretap to the girl. They said, this is what they think of you. They think you're the dumbest person in the world. She's a key witness now, right? But F1 drivers, an innocent man in 20 years gets out of jail and gets murdered. Instagram models, cocaine, unnamed F1 driver, and a former WWE wrestler, big man. Like, if you wrote this for CSI, they tell you it's too crazy.
Yeah, I think doing what I've learned you can never, the story you hear is always going to be something crazier that comes down the road. The world is a wild place. But yeah, I think the rule of that story is don't be involved with illicit narcotics and give them to people that you probably shouldn't, because you never know who's at the party with them and they're going to get upset. Look, I know if I had a daughter and some lunatic was giving her drugs, I wouldn't be very happy either. So
that's going to be their defense. That's the defense, actually, that wouldn't any father do the same thing?
No.
Which is, but the thing is, Cam, the whole thing is, Cam, there's a big difference between some guy pulling up in a van to your innocent daughter walking home and saying, you want some cocaine? And your daughter who's getting paid $2,000 to be a model in a Vegas hotel room, bro. Let's be real. Like, she was willingly do it. He didn't give it to her. Like, she did it.
This guy was shaken down, spent over 20 years in prison. Basically, everything was ruined.
To death in a hotel room.
Yes. And then the mother of the murdered daughter finally, like, she's like, I'm on this guy's side. By some miracle, he actually gets out. Gabe, after with the DNA, that was the final thing where they didn't even want to let him out. They go, we have to now. What the hell would you do after 20 years of jail? I don't judge anybody. The guy went to a party and did that. You know what, big man, I don't judge people. The guy lived a hard life, and he was in jail for 2 decades for a crime he didn't commit. The guy couldn't just beat him up, couldn't just slap them around a bit. He had to kill him.
Well, that's the whole thing, too, Cam. The guy wasn't some sort of like creep that, he was alone with the girls. The guy got invited to a party. There was like 30 people. It was an F1 driver. Like, it wasn't nefarious. You know what I mean?
And not for nothing, you're at a party, you're having a good time, everybody's having a good time, a girl starts talking to you, hey, you got any, I got some, here you go.
No, but he didn't even have it. He was just standing there. It was in the police report, it said there was a fun room. It was, quote, fun room. There was a table spread out with endless lines on it. And guests were walking in and out and helping themselves. He just happened to be there next to the girl when the father walked in. And then Buddy just sort of like attacked the guy. And they even said he didn't do anything. It's no. Like, people tried to stop it at the time.
Can you believe this? Unlucky, this guy's luck. Like, I can't think of anybody.
That's why I brought it up, Cam. I'm like, what a crazy story. Like, this guy, what a life.
Like, imagine he's finally getting there, and he's not even doing anything bad, and he gets murdered anyway after spending over 20 years.
He was probably all happy he got invited to that party. Yes. I'm going to the Resort World F1 driver party.
I saw an interview with him and the mom, Gabe. He seemed like a great guy, too. He was like, I'm a judge. I looked at the guy, I go, he's a good dude. Like, he got caught up in some stuff. It wasn't him. It was all the other people. Like,
he's very famous in the stuff, because he started the Innocence Project about getting paid after and stuff like that. But like I said, for me, because there's a big scandal in F1 right now with the Horner and Red Bull and stuff. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on at F1 that we don't even know about? Like, you guys have been sitting on the fact that an F1 driver was like a witness to this. Supposedly the F1 driver was not in the room when it happened. It was his party, but he wasn't in that bedroom when the attack took place. So that's why the cops are not bringing him into it. But eventually we're going to find out who he is.
We'll never know who he is, I don't think.
Oh, well, we'll speculate.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? You got to go to Reddit for this stuff. I sort of punched it in. I was looking around a bit. And I didn't see anything come up with this, but I'm reading about this in the British media here, and the Brits are all over this stuff, bro. Like, they're going to hammer down who it is, the F1 driver, who's not, like I said, he's not a suspect though. 2-0 for the Vancouver Canucks right now, and as I say that, they just scored again. Damn, this team is good, bro.
Yep, we're on them.
3-0. Zadorov just scores for the Vancouver Canucks right now.
Pickup. It's been great.
We talked about it before the game. The Canucks, a dominant home team, one of the best teams. Technically, I think they have the second or third best record coming into tonight in the National Hockey League, most points. And they're minus 120 on their home ice. Preposterous. I told you guys before the game, preposterous. They're up 3-0, and if you bet it at some books, you've already been paid right now. So 87-76 right now for Stanford over Cal. Georgia have come back and taken the lead on Missouri, 62-59. I don't know how many points you were getting there, Cam, but you could be in trouble here.
I could be in big trouble. Because if they foul, there's 15 seconds left too. If they miss, they're going to foul them again. This is concerning. They were leading.
You patted yourself on the back a little early.
I know what, and I know better too. I know better. You're right. But,
they might hold to the last shot though, and you get a push.
Yeah.
Cincinnati guys are pulling away on Kansas now. Son of I'm on Kansas.
We're on the Canucks, Gabe.
Okay, on the other side, we'll get into Arizona State and Utah haven't tipped off yet. Cal State Northridge and Santa Barbara getting ready to tip off. That game hasn't started yet. And Montana State and Montana hasn't started yet. So we'll get into our best bets for these games on the other side. And we'll get you caught up to date what's going on in the National Hockey League, NBA, and more. Canucks, 3 goals on 10 shots on goal.
Amazing.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like, technology can only like travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to minus 170 price, followed by SGA at plus 250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to, like, 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. Like, I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Let's do this thing. George Kurt's going to join us in a couple of minutes. We're throwing it down right now with Big Man on Campus. Time just flying by. Quickest 108 minutes in sports talk and television tonight. And Big Man on Campus is main man, Babano, is going to join us. Still as weird and strange as ever. Babano Bats in the house a little bit later on.
He sent me out an email for like conference tournament winners. He's got like 5 from each conference. I'm like, wait, how are you going to make money? I just love the email. I'm like, this guy's amazing. Babano
God bless him. I see
kind.
his goal scorer. You should see his goal scorer tweets and posts, like NHL goal scores. He takes like every player in the league.
Gabe, me and Kaufman, we did a
It's
show.
like there's
and
literally like
Kaufman
50 guys.
Yes.
It's like, God,
I
like,
go,
bro, like,
he goes,
can't bet all of them.
Can I get your picks or whatever? First day, I do a show with him next week. He goes, God, Babano's got like 126 plays from the NHL alone. Like goal props, whatever. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Anyway, love the man.
Yeah, so Babano in the house. So, Cal State Northridge and Santa Barbara coming up, guys. I'm taking Cal State Northridge plus the points. Taking the Matadors here. I don't know, Cam, Big Man, any opinion on this game between the two of you here? And we got Montana State and Montana just tipped off. It's been a pretty one-sided series. Montana have beaten them, I think it's 8 of the last 10 times they played, but there's been some close games along the way. You get these state rivalry games and stuff, laying 7.5 points right now. And we got Arizona State and Utah, Big Man. What do you think about the card tonight?
Yeah, I put a small play in on Montana. I think this is just a good matchup for them, as you alluded to. Montana State just couldn't seem to stop Montana in either game this year. Montana's a great free throw shooting team as well, something I like back in late in the season. I get your point about kind of a rivalry. It's always close, but I've noticed with Montana State really need the 3-ball to go down for them to win and score consistently. A bad shooting night could do them in badly here. I thought Montana was the better team. This is a tough matchup, I thought, for Montana State, who, I got to be honest, I don't know if they should really be here. They got lucky the other night that Sacramento State beat Eastern Washington, the 1 seed. Again, they're here. I'm sure they'll play hard, but I think Montana's a better team. Montana had no trouble with them this season. Beat them by double digits in both games.
I liked USC today. They were a trendy pick in Vegas for the Pac-12 conference tournament. What do you think of the Utah game tonight against Arizona State?
I lean Utah. I mean, look, I think it's a tough game. Utah was pretty disappointing all season. They are one of the biggest teams, though, in the country. That said, I mean, Arizona State are tough. They play hard. They don't turn it over. A decent defensive team, I guess, but a hard team to back. This is a bad team for Bobby Hurley. Utah should win. I didn't really have much on laying it or have any interest in it. I do, though, like Washington State in this conference. 6-7-1, beat Arizona both times this year. Well coached. I think that game against Colorado is a huge game. I think that game is going to be the winner of this conference. I don't think Arizona is a strong favorite. 160 is a big number to lay for them. They had trouble on the road all year. I think this is a pretty solid conference outside of – I mean, USC's playing better. You mentioned that.
Big Man. The Trojans look good now. Like, I'm watching some of their last games. I'm like, they figured something out. They don't look like Gabe. They were brutal before, remember? Fade material. They beat Washington today. They look good. Like, USC, they're a different team. Yeah, exactly.
And remember, I mean, UCLA had a bad season, but they have a whole new lease on life, right? Defensively, they're very good. Oregon's tough. They've kind of been down and out. They're finally healthy. Colorado's won a lot of games in a row. I mean, Colorado's hasn't lost since February 15th, nearly a month. So this conference, I think, a little more wide open than we think.
All right, before we get you out of here, BYU -1.5 tomorrow against Texas Tech. So that game is a near pick'em. That's an interesting one right there. Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. Pitt are a team that's on the bubble right now. Wake Forest are -2 against Pitt. USC and Arizona. We get the rematch. USC beat Arizona a couple of days ago last week. Arizona are 9-point favorites in that game. What San Diego State tomorrow night, guys, -4.5 against UNLV. You mentioned UCLA +3 against the Ducks. I think UCLA might be a live dog actually in that game. I like where you're going with Wazoo at +600 to win that to win the tournament, big man. I took Boise State at plus 650 to win the Mountain West tournament because I like the bracket and the side of the bracket that they're on. But any of these games catch your eye tomorrow? Oh, no, I got Liberty winning the Conference USA too. Liberty are minus 3.5 against UTEP tomorrow. What do you think of these games, big man?
Yeah, a game I played, I think the number's definitely going to move. I took Minnesota plus 7.5 against Michigan State. As we know, Minnesota best against the spread team in the country. Michigan State's lost 4 of their last 5. The only win was against Northwestern, a game in which they had multiple players out. Minnesota's already won 1 game this year against Michigan State. The other game, one of their best players and their point guard was out. I think Minnesota's getting disrespected here. This has been a solid team under Ben Johnson. We know they're very good against the spread team. I love them as a dog a lot of the time. I'll buy in here. This is a decent team. Remember that this tournament's in Minneapolis as well. You'd have a pretty good contingent, I think, of Gopher fans there. I like Minnesota plus 7.5.
Yeah, it's a Target Center. You're right. You're right. Minnesota have been flying under the radar all year, considering how dominant ATS that they have been. So before we get you out of here, big man, these are the bets that I put in. I played a bunch of them. I was like, you know what? I like these futures, Cam, because good thing about these conference tournaments, they're short, right? You're getting plus 400, plus 500 and stuff. You only got to win 2-3 games. You get into the final. You get yourself in a head situation. But I got South Florida at plus 600, North Carolina plus 175, Richmond at plus 500, Baylor plus 600, Norfolk State plus 180.
That's my favorite future out of everyone.
Norfolk, that's the hammer, the one. I agree.
They have a chip on their shoulder. They lost by 1 point last year to Howard University. They just got one of their better players back from injury. I remember watching him in high school, Christian Ings. He played at Newman Goretti in South Philadelphia. Very good player. They're well coached. Robert Jones is a really good coach. They have no problem going to the tournament year after year. They didn't get there last year. I think, again, a big chip on the shoulder. They're way better than every team in the MEAC, in my opinion. I think it's a great bet. I like it a lot.
All right, last question, big man, and we'll speak on Tuesday with the tournament before the tournament really starts, but it starts on Tuesday. I like that Samford team. I was watching the SoCon conference, and I like teams that play different styles. You enter the NCAA tournament. I can't wait to see who they play and how many points we're getting, what kind of matchup they get. But any team that plays as fast as they do, they've got some size, they've got some athletes on that team. I'm not saying they're a Cinderella and they're going deep or anything like that, but I'm talking about covering a point spread. But I think Samford are actually going to be a tough team for some teams, especially if you're a team that's not great offensively, because these guys are going to score on you, bro. They put up 85 a game.
I'll tell you a team that better hope they don't see Samford is Kansas. Kansas could be in for a world of trouble. I'll tell you what, Bucky McMillan, the coach, and they're very good coach. Akor is playing really good basketball.
Yep.
Get down low. You're right. They're deep. They have the 3rd best bench in America. They can throw 10 guys at you, no problem. They can all
hit threes. They all shoot. They can all shoot.
Right.
They remind me of Leonard Hamilton's teams down at Florida State. Very deep, long, lengthy, can kind of space the floor. Yeah, I agree. I also love McNeese State. I'm going to point them out.
Those guys are amazing. Did you see what they gave? We got to get futures on this. I think they can go win some games in the tournament. McNeese State doesn't just win; they blow out everybody.
Let me tell you something. Will Wade should be in a good Division I team. They have a couple of kids that were high major. They went down there to play for Will Wade. They are really good. I'm telling you. I like that team to win a game or two. McNeese is really good.
Great stuff, big man. Time just flew by. Where can people find your podcast?
Just check out the Sit Down wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, TikTok. I'm hoping TikTok doesn't get banned. Why are we talking about national security? We let people – never mind. I shouldn't talk. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I'll go now. Thank you, guys.
I will say one thing. It's not the best way to reach out to younger voters before an election by banning their favorite website. Like, really? Yeah, it's like not a political major, but maybe should have waited until after the election if but like, okay.
What kind of world are
they
we
won't
living in
ban it.
right
It's going to
now?
go to court and stuff, whatever. But yeah, it's a whacked out world. Thank you to Big Man on Campus. We got George Kurtz ready to step up, and then George's been on the on-deck circle, ready to step up. Hopefully, George is on.
The old friend of the program. Yep,
But I know George Kurtz, and I know George, smart hockey
He's an
man.
Avalanche guy, isn't he?
No, George.
Are you an
George
Avalanche?
George's on the Canucks tonight. I know he is. You're on the Canucks.
Are you,
I
George?
am on the Canucks tonight. Cam's actually right. I am an Avalanche guy, but not on the second half of back-to-back nights, not on the road. All right. So I am a small play, nothing big. Gabe talked about it earlier in the show when he said it was a good price on the Canucks at home, minus 120. So, yeah, I'm on the Canucks small play tonight.
Canucks have been dominant as of late, George. Like beating the Jets the way that they did the other night on Saturday. Although they had the Jets off a back-to-back, too. The schedule is lining up nicely for Vancouver right now. They got the Jets off a back-to-back. They're almost like Juventus or something. They've rigged it. We only want to play teams off a back-to-back.
Like you had. Are we playing
Juventus. Juventus had a scam
Italian
where they got to the referees and they said, listen, we need you to give a bunch of yellow cards to players before they play us, so they're suspended when they play us. It was ingenious. They didn't say throw the game. They said throw cards on other people, and if you don't do it, the quote was, bad things will happen to you and your family. And they said, no, that wasn't a threat. Remember he said, remember that they had the tape? He said, no, I wasn't threatening him.
No.
He said, no. He said, bad things will happen to you and ones you love. What the hell does that mean? A bunch of mobsters, Juventus owners tell you this. Kind of means, imagine, Cam, you're a referee. You don't have to do it, but bad things can happen to you and your loved ones.
That's just they had it on tape. He was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. No, you misunderstood.
He said, no, it was misinterpreted. It's like, dude, you said bad things are going to happen to him.
Yeah, it's pretty clear cut.
Remember the same guy was on tape boasting about how the referee once pissed them off, so he locked them in the room. He goes, I took the key and I left the referees in a hot room all night. So anyway,
work.
Yeah. Juventus. It's Carmen Bianco's team. He gets upset. I bring that stuff up. Hey. So next time he takes a shot at the Leafs. I gotta tell you, Cameron, give me material. Because he likes to make fun of the Leafs, Carmine. So if he ever takes a shot at the Leafs, just tell him, whatever. Fix any games lately, Carmine, with Juventus?
Yeah. And another thing is, remember one thing, too?
You and your buddies fix any games lately?
Yeah, he can come at me with the Leafs. The guy likes the Buffalo Sabres, so put the brakes on, Carmine. Seriously.
So I like Carmine. I got to get him on.
I love Carmine, actually.
He's a good guy, Carmine. So 3-0, George. The Canucks, though, like I said, they beat the Jets the other night. They beat the Kings. They beat both LA teams, low-scoring games. They get back home. They're on a 4-game win streak right now. And, Thatcher Demko's out, and they're only minus 120. Well, what do you know? So far, Casey DeSmith has a shutout tonight. And look at that, too. We talked about it, too. I know, sorry. I know, but I can't change it. I'm on the under, too.
Okay, good.
He doesn't have a shutout. He doesn't. He looks...
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. It's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like technology can only travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to -170 price, followed by SGA at +250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage Level 2 continues. Quickest 100 minutes in sports talk and television. George Kurtz in the house with us right now. And I'm looking right now at the New York Yankees. Sorry, Kurtz, I had to get to it. Yeah. I'm looking at the New York Yankees right now, and their win total is unchanged. I see 93.5. Over 93.5 is +110. So under 93.5 is -140. Of course, if you're just joining us right now with all the basketball going on, the Yankees were awaiting news on Garrett Cole's MRI. They played it down, similar to the Vancouver Canucks did. Oh, there's no problems with Demko, but Demko's only a couple of weeks. Garrett Cole will, and this is pretty vague, will miss at least the next 1 to 2 months. And we'll see Dr. Neil Trashy in Los Angeles. He's arrived in Los Angeles. I saw the photo of him arriving. But, George, you're a pretty pessimistic and realistic person. When you hear 1 to 2 months, especially with a pitcher, that means 3 months, bro. I read everything. I saw the New York media. I was reading the Post earlier, and they were talking about best case scenario, late May type of deal. That doesn't sound good, George. What's your take?
Well, your best case scenario would be early May. That's when you get the 1 month, 6 weeks. And I think you're right, by the way. I would be surprised.
That's not happening.
I'm thinking July 1st. I'm thinking half the year. He'll miss half the year.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just think last year with Aaron Judge. We heard the same crap. Oh, he'll be back.
The Yankees lie over and over
exactly.
Again.
They don't want the panic in the media. They don't want the panic in the media.
They lied about Aaron Judge remember when he only got 2 at-bats in the game Sunday, and they said, oh, no, that was planned. All of a sudden he's had an MRI, yeah. And Judge told you that he was on the MRI. Not Boone. Judge told you. The Yankees lie.
Aaron Boone lied today. He goes, oh, we still don't know. It's like, dude, you found out an hour ago about Garrett Cole on the broadcast. They were during the broadcast. So any news on Garrett Cole, oh, guys, we'll keep you posted as soon as we know something. It's like, yeah, so I guess you didn't know, Boone? You had no idea, right, that it was on Twitter already?